Welcome back to Glanigall's Park in North Wales for round 3 of the Ultimate Karting Championship. In this programme, we'll be bringing you all of the race action from the 3 remaining super finals for cadets in Micromax and for seniors and juniors in the ever popular Rotax classes. So our first race in this programme then is for young drivers from just 8 years of age in the Micromax class. What was a relatively small grid last season has grown, so this year we really are seeing some great action. Let's go straight away then to your race commentator Jake Sanson, who's got the grid rundown.
And what a lineup it's set to be. Jensen Chalk is going to be alongside the pole sitter James Roberts, Katie Donaldson on the second row with Dan Minto, JJ Lowe and Olivia Reynolds from Jack Baker and Jaden Sherwood, Sam Ladiyi and Christian Stefanov rounding out the top 10. But get this, in 15th position behind Kilbasa, Warner, Gruffity and Turacek is the championship leader, Tyler O'Neill. Then it's Sebastian Lusch and Ella Lucia to complete the grid, but Tyler O'Neill has got some work from 15th on the grid. Here we go! Up to the first corner, and Katie Donaldson bangs wheels as she tries to get into second position. Dan Minto almost getting through as we go on board with JJ Lowe. Olivia Reynolds trying to work her way through as well. It's going to be very tricky up to Spoon Curve for the first time as Jensen Chalk has lost quite a bit of ground. Olivia Reynolds is going through. Stefanov gets past us as JJ Lowe slots into position down the hill, but a lot of movement on the first lap.
It's an all-action first lap from the 360 camera as usual, and Jensen Chalk, who has won heats 1, 2 and the super heat as well earlier in the day, still wasn't good enough. I think he came 10th in the other heat. So James Roberts has pipped him for the pole position, but that's a bit of a disastrous start for him. He would have expected better than that, hoped for better than that. Certainly, he's down in 5th place as they go across the line.
So James Roberts, the only other race winner this weekend other than Jensen Chalk. He won Heat 3, and now look, he's got a little bit of support from Donaldson and Minto, but can Katie Donaldson get her way through? What a turnaround, I have to say, into the 3rd weekend of the season for Katie Donaldson. She's been there or thereabouts in the first couple of weekends. She's had pace, she's had the ability to move forward, but look at her this weekend. She's got a chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah, she's not had this sort of pace though, has she? She's right up there now and hassling James Roberts. And the way things have worked out this weekend with the points in the bag so far, well, certainly if Roberts wins this race, he would definitely have the championship lead. He could probably afford to lose a few places. And it's Minto that set the fastest lap so far. But what can he do from there? He's got his 3rd place on track, but he is the fastest man on track.
Oh, here we go. Minto on the inside as Katie Donaldson takes the lead. So Roberts is down to 3rd, and Donaldson leads briefly because now Dan Minto gets to the lead of the race. But Katie Donaldson is there in 2nd place. Olivia Reynolds is closing up on them in 4th position. Isn't it amazing? Abby Pulling becomes the queen of karting, winning multiple titles. We waited years for someone as strong as her, and now loads of them have come out of the blocks. You've got Sophie Kinghorn in Junior Rotax, and now you've got these two, Donaldson and Reynolds, coming forward in Micromax. The floodgates have opened.
Yeah, the girls in karting are just incredible, the amount of quality drivers that we've got now, to be fair. And it was great, by the way, last weekend, see Abby Pulling finishing 2nd and only just by half a second at the Formula 1 meeting in the W Series.
So this is a great battle for Dan Minto now. He's got all the pressure. Donaldson is going to try and take the lead. The door was not quite open enough. She's still trying to open it down the hill. And so Dan Minto holds the advantage from Katie Donaldson down into the hairpin as side by side for 6th. That is JJ Lowe getting through on Christian Stefanov, I do believe. So a great battle with those two. Then there is Olivia Reynolds just tightening in behind James Roberts. Is Dan Minto going to win his first race of the weekend and it be a final? Or is Katie Donaldson going to get the job done? Roberts in 3rd, Chalk is in 5th. Those two are the only ones to have won races so far this weekend. Tyler O'Neill is making good progress. He's made up 5 already and he's up into P10.
JJ Lowe it is that sets the fastest lap. He's the fastest man on track at the moment. Hasn't got track position, but he is in 6th place, just made up a place on that lap. So good to see JJ. He is a stalwart of the Houghton Park circuit, races there competitively and has done for many seasons, but taking part in UKC this year for the first time.
So if he's a Houghton Park regular, they need to be knocking on the door of Vauxhall for a decent sponsorship deal, don't they? It's only over the road, so you never know. Hopefully that'll come to fruition. James Roberts seizes his opportunity there, down into the compression complex, and that, I'm afraid, is Ella Lucia struggling to move her kart off the racing line, but full credit to her. She didn't just leave it to the marshals. She decided she was going to help them out, get the kart off the racing line.
Oliver Warner sets the fastest lap. Note to all the kids, by the way, Jake, if you're going to lift your kart up, kids, lift it up from the rear, not the front. It's much easier.
Donaldson nearly got the move on Roberts, but she saw the yellow flag just in the nick of time. Now she's able to get the move on Roberts because she passed the yellow flag zone, got through into the position, so nicely done. Now Jensen Chalk is being hustled by JJ Lowe as they come up the hill. And that in front is the 19 of Olivia Reynolds.
Jensen Chalk, as it says there in that little graphic, won heats 1, 2 and the super heat, but he's not having the best super final, is he?
No, indeed, and there goes Oliver Warner, the Ambition Motorsport driver on the charge. Oh, and that's Reynolds getting a little bit out of whack. Through up the inside comes Warner. We've got off! JJ Lowe spins in the final turn.
I think he was just on the outside of the driver. I think Warner went down the inside. And that looks like a karting dad. Not very happy with that one.
Well, let's
have a look at the replay.
Look at the squabble, because you've got Warner.
Well, there's Warner, 2 wheels on the grass. It just comes together and it just collects JJ on the outside. Unlucky for JJ, but listen, he's got to take the positives.
Yep.
This has been a good weekend for JJ Lowe. He's got to take the positives out of it. Ella Lucia is going to get it back going again, Jake.
Yeah, and obviously she's not really... Well, she's going to be a couple of laps down, but essentially this is now an extended test session.
Yeah, I guess so.
Why not?
But JJ's got to take the positives out of the weekend. He'd been having a good run up until that point.
Now there is Tyler O'Neill, look, and he is battling away for 4th position. How much of a move has he made through?
That's Kevin Kilbasser at the top of the straight, Jake.
Yes,
Looks
indeed.
like he's out of the race.
Yep, so Kilbasser's had a problem as they pass his kart. So that is unfortunate. Kevin Kilbasser was looking to have a very solid run over the course of this weekend.
Look at the lead.
Yeah, that's
what's
massive for Minto.
Here? Minto hasn't won a heat all day. Here he is in the super final, and he's doing what he did at Warden Law in the super final. He's winning by an absolute stretch. This is the battle for 5th. Great battle it is too.
Well, he's just allowed Roberts, Reynolds and O'Neill to have their duel for position. Donaldson has slipped to 6th position in all of that, so there's a lot of shuffling of the deck of cards, and as a result, Minto's just decided, right, well, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to check out. He's gone.
Absolutely. This is highly competitive, this class. Katie Donaldson makes a place back. She's back up to 5th. She won't be happy with that. I think in the early stages she probably thought she was in this to win it. Kev's down in the middle of the track. What's your view on proceedings, Kev?
We're just watching down here trackside at lap 8, and Daniel Minto's class is really starting to show. He got himself out into the lead there, and now that gap, well, it is in evidence. It's about approximately, I think, 2.3, 2.5 seconds, something like that, but he's out on his own. Behind him, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8 drivers fighting for the scraps, really. Daniel Minto's just got to keep his head, surely, and he's going to have this one wrapped up with about 4 minutes still to go here trackside.
I think you're right, Kev, and don't call me Shirley. Now, we're going to go through to the first corner and watch Roberts and Reynolds. They are actually starting themselves to pull clear of Chalk, Donaldson, Warner and O'Neill. That's interesting, because Roberts and Reynolds have decided, well, these guys are just going to be at each other's heels till the end, so we need to skate away and secure those 2 positions on the podium. Here comes Katie Donaldson. What a move on Chalk! And has actually used Ella Lucia to box him in. That was smart thinking from Katie Donaldson. Saw the slower kart in front and thought, right, if I edge him to the left side of the circuit and drive around the outside, he's going to have to back out of the throttle. Supreme confidence from Katie Donaldson.
And that is exactly what he had to do. So great driving by Katie.
Oh, what a launch in there. Jensen Chalk dives in at Devil's Elbow, gets the place and picks up a couple of them. And Tyler O'Neill, look.
Going backwards.
Yes, he's dropped to the back of the queue. Meanwhile, out of sight.
Olivia Reynolds is in second, Jake.
Yes,
we missed
indeed.
that.
Yeah,
we were covering that midfield battle there.
So busy focusing on what was going on in the fight for 4th position downwards that Reynolds has managed to sneak up the inside of James Roberts, and now she is looking good for her best result in the UKC.
Absolutely. So we've had Donaldson earlier. She's back in a 4th place. And Olivia Reynolds, who didn't figure in the early running, she's now in 2nd, having a great day, Olivia. And looks like she's pulling away from James Roberts there as well. And that's the championship leader she's pulling away from.
Well, that's going to silence all the mansplainers and gatekeepers, isn't it? That think that women can't drive. They certainly can. And we got 2 of them in the top 5 in Micromax. So this is awesome stuff. Minto, Reynolds, Roberts, Warner, Donaldson and Jensen Chalk. Tyler O'Neill, though, 9th position. He's the championship leader coming into this, but this is what happens when you're in the gaggle. You've got so many competitive drivers to go up against. It is not easy, even if you're the championship leader, even if you've got that confidence from race 1 and 2. Yep. These guys are so ultra competitive, they will not give you an inch.
Yeah, it was interesting in the Formula 1 race at the weekend. It was interesting. I'm not sure whether you picked up on it, Jake, but Lewis Hamilton wanted to quit because of where he was, in my view.
Indeed
he wanted to give up. The team obviously wanted him to stay with it. It was about points. And that was really interesting. And that's the attitude you don't want to have. You need an attitude which is, you know what, I'm not doing really well. Let's try and get a point out of it, 2 points, whatever it is. You've got to get the best result you can. And that's what Tyler's got to think. We know Tyler O'Neill is a quality driver, and we know the problems with the karts. He's just got to stick with it and get the best result he can.
Still a little bit of racing to go here, and it could still all change hands. On the last lap at Glanagorse, and it's all starting to come around for the drivers in the middle of this gaggle. Christian Stefanov's made the bid on Jensen Chalk and has got through. Minto still 3 seconds clear of Olivia Reynolds, who is about to take her best ever finish in Micromax at the Ultimate Karting Championship in front of James Roberts. Minto's going to win it at a canter, but this battle in the midfield is not done yet. Katie Donaldson ahead of Stefanov, Chalk and Sherwood, but Dan Minto is going to canter out of the final turn. What a result, what a drive. Dan Minto celebrates. Olivia Reynolds, she is celebrating as if she's won in 2nd place. Brilliant work from Olivia Reynolds.
However, as we'll see from the results, Jake, it's bad news for Olivia. She has got a front fairing penalty that has dropped her down to 9th.
Hard luck for Reynolds, but she proves her point. James Roberts promoted to 2nd. Oliver Warner makes up 9 places to get the podium from Donaldson, Stefanov and Chalk. Sherwood ahead of Tyler O'Neill, who made up 7 on his way to 8th.
Well, he may not have made the podium for round 1, but he's done it in round 2 and he's done it here again for round 3. Well done to Daniel Minto. Just behind him in 2nd and 3rd place was Olivia Reynolds and James Roberts. Let's go and have a chat to all of them on the podium.
Dan, highly disappointing first round for you. I know you'd have been disappointed with your first round. Great round last time for you, and you've sort of repeated the feat, haven't you, this weekend? Another comfortable victory for you.
Yeah.
Good kart setup at Warden Law and here again at Glanagorse Park. Do you think the circuits are similar?
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. And who do you want to thank for your success?
Kai, my dad, Hunter Morswell and Reese and Higgins.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
James, eventful race and an eventful start for you. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, at the start I went through turn 1 and ended up in P2. Going up the straight, I got a boost from someone behind, someone pushed me all the way up the straight, managed to get P1. Led for a couple of laps and dropped down to P3. And it's about middle of the race where I felt a whack on the back of my head. I was like, what was that? Someone like hit me in the head with a car, and then I lost loads of time.
Okay. And you had a lot of problems, I think, at Warden Law with the kart setup, didn't you? You got the best result you could, but what was the difference this weekend? You have all those things sorted?
Yeah, we found out a few things at Warden, which we know what the problems were now. I think we've been quick all through the weekend this weekend. So yeah.
And who do you want to thank for that?
Right, thank my dad as always on the spanners, my mum always for basically almost everything. From Bradley, Mark, Emma, Chris and Alex.
Okay, well done.
And Tony.
Well done.
Thank you.
Ollie, highly competitive Micromax this season. 3rd place though this weekend. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with it, considering what happened on Saturday. Obviously coming quite far down in 2 heats, but I made it back through and got my head in the finals, and yeah, I'm very happy with it.
That's really important, isn't it? When things aren't going well, what character have you got? Can you come back? And you obviously did that, well done. Who's your success down to?
I would like to thank Ambition Motorsport, my mechanic Will, my family for watching, and Sodi Chassis.
Well, what a difference a weekend makes. It's a complete change in the standings in Micromax. James Roberts is now the leader by 7 points ahead of Dan Minto, Jaden Sherwood ahead of Christian Stefanoff, and former leader Tyler O'Neill. Katie Donaldson is waiting in the wings with Cameron Nelson ahead of Carl McLean, Oliver Warner, and that man JJ Lowe. He'll be back for more great action next time.
Well, Senior Rotax are our next race out on track, so let's get straight to the action. Here are the grid positions with Jake Sanson.
And with it being Senior Rotax, we know this is going to be a good race, whatever happens. Louis Harvey and Kian Tsang on the front row of the grid from Lorenzo Cordell and Jamie Rogers. Tristan Rennie and Jensen Watts from Alex Baker and Tom Wood. Caden McQueen and Ben Doughty rounding out the top 10. See, I told you it was going to be an exciting one. On the 6th row of the grid, Amelia Nelson and Louis Weaver. Then Lily and Harrison, Edmonds and John Knox from James Otto and Alex Moody. George Hunter and Chris Miller rounding out the top 20. Further back, there's even more firepower under their right foot. Lucas Ellingham and Scott Dunsmore from Walsh and Wild. Sam Hawthorne and Les Taylor. Napier, Duthie, Briley and Jex. And then we have Andrew Hughes and Daniel Hughes from Sam Light and Callum Kinder. Ready? Let's go racing up to the first corner. And it's a great start from Kian Tsang. Tsang has actually made the jump on Louis Harvey. It's not the first time today that we've seen the driver starting P2, getting the jump on the leader. There is Louis Weaver in front of us as we ride on board with Finn Harrison, and he's gone off! Oh my goodness! Straight off of the fastest corner on the circuit.
Louis Weaver exits stage left. As you say, Jake, a really fast corner, blind turn in. Watch out for Lucas Ellingham in this one. Started P21. We know he's got a lot of quality. We saw him spin off. I think his dad said he was smashed off at Wardenlaw. Not sure he was smashed off exactly, but he did come back to 11th. Unnoticed by us, Jake, the commentators.
Absolutely. Well, there's a change for third position by the look of it, as up the inside goes Jamie Rogers. He gets the run on Lorenzo Cordell, tightens things up with Watson Rennie behind. You just saw there a few seconds back that Louis Weaver has got going again, is up on the inside. Oh my goodness, it's nearly 3 wide as diving through Jensen Watts picks them all off. He's up into third position. Rennie and McQueen don't really know what have hit them on that particular move. Jensen Watts found the smallest gap in history on the fastest corner on the track.
I think Jamie Rogers, as he dropped down to, is that 7th place?
I think you're right, yes it
is.
is.
Line in third.
Yeah, it is 7th place, because that was Lorenzo Cordell getting himself slotted into P6. So Jamie Rogers was the real loser in that particular move. McQueen zips up the inside in the zip car and moves up into 4th position, taking it. Now, something happened behind them. Let's have a look as the leaders come through. Oh, that's what happened.
Baker and Wood.
Well, that was a nasty one, and let's have another look at it. They've come through together. There's the move from McQueen on the inside. And watch as these two cuts lock. Wheels collide with each other.
Look at the radiator.
Yeah, he's absolutely boshed Alex Baker's radiator. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep going from that, because that was a big hit. As we ride on board with Finley Harrison, Caden McQueen has the fastest lap of the race. As we go down the hill and up on the inside, that's Amelia Nelson and Jack Lilly getting through on the inside. Really good to see Amelia and Jack really starting to take some plaudits out there. They're making massive inroads in UKC Senior Rotax, and they're getting closer and closer to the podium. Now, the battle is joined at the front end of the field. Kev, you're obviously keeping an eye on the action. What have you spotted?
So here we are then in the 4th minute of this one. It's really exciting watching trackside, because I've just had my eyes locked on Caden McQueen, who is obviously the class of the field as far as the last round is concerned. His driving skills, well, they need no introduction, but he was starting in 9th on the grid for this one, but already in the opening few laps he's got himself up to 3rd place. This one has a lot to run, and I am keen to see how far Caden can go by the time that we get to the checkered flag.
That's a very good point, Kev, but obviously Kian Tsang is leading by nearly a second over Louis Harvey, and Harvey is going to be the first driver that Caden McQueen's got to pass before he even thinks about the lead. And let's be fair, Louis Harvey versus Caden McQueen, that's going to be an interesting battle, as battling for position, that is the Jack Dex Racing Machine. Just in behind Finley Harrison, that's Lucas Ellingham moving his way up past John Knox, we saw. And so, oh, great battle further back as well. That's Stephen Napier battling away with Charlie Walsh and Tommy Edmonds as they go through turn 1, absolutely on the lock stops.
We did say keep an eye on Lucas Ellingham, starting P21. He's already now up to P12, so he is definitely on the move.
And there's a lot of great drivers in senior Rotax these days. This is really the who's who of British karting at senior level in the UK. See, Ellingham dives in on the inside. Such a hard overtaking move in the second part of the compression complex. You've really got to know that you've got grip to come back at you as you come off the apex. That was wonderful from Lucas Ellingham. Dives in, full of conviction, no hesitation, makes the move stick. That's really nice. Now up the hill once again. Another new fastest lap from the race leader, Kian Tsang, and the gap has opened up massively for Tsang. He's now 1.7 ahead of Louis Harvey with Caden McQueen closing right up. Ellingham goes again, at this time on the inside of Amelia Nelson, watched on by our cameraman Finley Harrison. Well, what a great move from Lucas Ellingham. He just picks them off one by one like raisins, and now Finley Harrison is going to line up his own move on Amelia Nelson.
Look out for Les Taylor as well. He started P26, Jake. He's up to 16th, so see, he's up 10. Stephen Napier's on the move as well. He's currently there in 18th place. He's making moves.
Harrison gets the move on Nelson, but on the exit he runs wide, and there's going to be an opportunity here for John Knox and for Chris Miller. Just a little bit eager from Harrison. He just shuts the door in time before Miller gets through. And that's so easily done. You get the move in the final turn, you drift just the slightest bit wide onto the curb, and you just open the door for yourself again. McQueen's got past Harvey. Now, we didn't see it, but he's got through into second place now. So Caden McQueen has managed to get the move on the Argenti Motorsport of Louis Harvey, and he's got 2 seconds to make up on Kian Tsang with 7 minutes 40 on the clock. That's plenty of time.
Andrew Hughes started, I think, P31, Jake, something like that, and he's up to 21, so he's made up 10 places as well. Further back, there's battles all the way through the field, not least towards the back end.
So you've got 12 karts, still covered by 10 seconds, and when you consider the first and second are covered by 2, that's impressive. Up the inside, nice manoeuvre from Jamie Rogers. He finally gets his man as he goes for Jensen Watts. That's up to P4, and Finley Harrison watches as Les Taylor darts through Amelia Nelson. Finley Harrison picks it up as well. Thank you very much for that. I'll take the overtaking move there as well. As we watch the battles in position, that is the zip kart of the 36 Jensen Watts all over the back of Jamie Rogers as they duel away for position.
So Les Taylor, again, as said before, started P26, so he's now 14th, Les Taylor, as we saw that overtake from the 360-degree onboard camera. So Taylor definitely on the move.
He's now 13th, having made that move on Harrison and Nelson. We're back on board with Harrison. Now, who's that going slowly? That's Ben Doughty. Has he had an off? Oh, he certainly nearly had one there, because Finn Harrison nearly nerfed him off the road. Getting very close here at GYG. Well, that loss of momentum for Ben Doughty really has cost him dear. He's dropped behind Alex Moody now to 18th place. That cost him about 6 seconds. So that's cost him a massive amount of places. This is that battle of 17th. We're watching Moody. And in front of him now, Ben Doughty has recovered and made up another place with Charlie Walsh in the mix there as well. Louis Weaver, by the way, the man who hit the barriers on the first lap, he is now pulled out of the race. He has brought the kart back into the pits. Clearly a little bit too much damage to get to the end. Now, 4th position. How about this for a squabble? Rogers, Watts, Rennie. And any one of these 3 could end up on the podium if something happens to the guys up front. So they've got to stay hungry. As up the inside of John Knox, Finn Harrison gets another sweet overtake of the spoon.
Harrison delivering some great onboard action. Might be getting that onboard camera next time from Stu Stratton. Stuart does like the drivers that deliver action, and Finley delivering it for us this weekend in this one. He's in, well, went through the line last time in 13th place. May have made another place up there, so it could be up to 12th.
So as they battle for 4th position, there's a long gap back to Lorenzo Cordell, who's got Jack Lilly right on his tail. And then you've got Ellingham in 9th ahead of Miller, Taylor, Harrison, John Knox, James Otto, Stephen Napier, Nelson, Doughty, Walsh, Moody and Andrew Hughes, who is still charging through the field. And there's the move on the inside line from Stephen Napier. That was brave on James Otto. On the fastest corner on the circuit, you've really got to have some stones to send that one up the inside in the right-hand apex. It changes camber during the fastest corner on the circuit. That is bravery. And from Stephen Napier, he really flexes his muscles on the inside line.
So Taylor, we've got Taylor on the move. He's trying to become the driver in the field that makes up the most places. Ellingham's still moving. Stephen Napier There's plenty of places being made from drivers at the back of the field, but as we've said before, 68 drivers started this championship in senior Rotax, so just making the final is difficult. That's a battle for 15th, more places being made up. But if you carry on the way we're going, it's going to be interesting to see the championship points at the end of the season. If you remember last time, Louis Harvey didn't have the best of rounds at Warden Law, but still went out of the round in second place. But he had the onboard camera on that day. He just seemed to be going backwards most of the time.
That's very true. As we go up towards the last lap, great to see how frenetic it's been. And you were talking earlier about how many drivers can break into the final with such a competitive field. There have been a few drivers in the field who have broken into a final for the first time. Certainly Dylan Brierley, who is a notable club racer, he is mixing it up there in the top 25 with the likes of Hunter, Baker and Duthie. Up on the inside, Finley Harrison gets his move on the inside of Chris Miller in a very competitive field. And surprise from Kian Tsang, he's led the race. McQueen has not been able to catch him at all. Tsang will take the checkered flag. That's what it means to him. McQueen has done his best, and on this occasion, he's got to settle for P2. Harvey is going to come through for third, and it's going to be Rogers. He has snatched fourth position from Rennie on the last lap.
That's a good comeback by Jamie Rogers. We saw him earlier. He was dropping back through, but has come through to finish fourth. Good result for him, and will consolidate his place in the championship, as no doubt we'll see.
That's a big win for Kian Tsang ahead of Caden McQueen. Louis Harvey on the podium, just ahead of Jamie Rogers, Tristan Rennie and Jensen Watts. Lorenzo Cordell, P7 for Cato Motorsport. Les Taylor, 18 places made up for Ultimate R. And then the top 10 is rounded out by Jack Lilly and our cameraman, Finley Harrison. Oh, what a great performance.
Well, the sun has come out and it was certainly shining on your race winner there, privateer on his Tony Kart chassis, Kern Sang. Well done to him. But surely the story of the weekend has to be about the man that came home in second place, Caden McQueen. Let's not forget, not only did he line up in the 9th position on the grid for that, way back off the start, but also yesterday in the heats, he took a big shunt. He was had his knee bandaged up and his ankle strapped up last night. He was going around on crutches, so well done, making the most of what could have been an otherwise difficult weekend for him. And then back there in third place, it was Lewis Harvey. Great stuff from some of our most senior and experienced drivers here. Let's go and see what they had to say at the podium.
Good result in the end. Got a good start, which helped us. I thought we'd be in a closer battle, but we're lucky enough on the start and got away with a nice lead. So kept it consistent and came away with a win.
Who's the success all down to?
ST Racing and Nigel, the engine builder, done a top job all weekend. So thanks to them and thanks to my dad on the spanners. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay, well done. Caden, a great result for you. Made even better, I guess, by the fact that you had a bit of an incident yesterday on Saturday, which has given you an injury to your left leg, I think. Just what was that all about?
Yeah, unfortunately, a cart went over the top of me and hit my leg very awkwardly, which affected my leg. But we pushed, we tried hard, and I think the winner done a great job. He was very consistent, and he, luckily enough, he got the gap at the start. I did try chase him down, but there just wasn't enough time.
And as usual, who do you want to thank?
Of course, the team. The team done an amazing job. Earl from Zipkart done an amazing, made an amazing team. Croc for the kart, and all the sponsors involved.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Louis, last time at Warden Law, the surprising thing was with the onboard camera on, you seem to be losing places. Yeah, I know you were struggling with setup in the final there, and it cost you places. But what surprised me even more was that you came out of that round still in second place. So third place today. Good championship points, I guess. Just talk us through this weekend.
Yeah, really good championship points. We struggled a bit in the final for pace, but we got solid points all weekend, and we're now leading the championship by a decent amount. So good going into Rara.
Yeah, amazing. So who do you want to thank?
Everyone at Argenty Motorsport, my dad and my family, and all my sponsors.
Okay, well done.
So what does that do to the senior Rotax title battle? Well, Jamie Rogers is only 2 points now ahead of Louis Harvey. Kian Tsang up to third after a brilliant victory. Caden McQueen is still in the hunt in P4. Lorenzo Cordell, Jensen Watts, Sam Gornall and Lucas Ellingham are very close in behind, with Sam Hawthorne and Tristan Rennie still in touch in the top 10. Wow!
In Junior Rotax last time out, it was Jay Smith who made up the most places of anyone over the whole weekend. Starting on the back row of the grid, he made up some 19 spots to come home in 15th place. Earlier on, I caught up with Jay and his team boss, John Stewart from ST Racing, to ask him about that fantastic super final and what are their hopes for this weekend. Jay, what a fantastic weekend you had at Wardenlaw. You're on the back of the grid for that super final. You made up some 19 places. I think that was the biggest jump that we saw in the whole weekend. What a great race. Tell us how it played out from you.
Starting at the back, then trying to make our way through, getting a few police off the start.
Yeah.
And people are just crashing.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get past them as fast as we can to catch up to the leaders.
And when that's happening in the early part of the race, you're thinking, hang on a minute, 34, 30.
Yeah.
28, 26. Are you clocking it off in your head, or what's going on?
Counting.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. And then when the race sort of progresses, you're getting into a little bit of a rhythm. You're learning a few corners. You're thinking, right, okay. Are you starting to pick up on some points, maybe where you could start to make some overtakes? How do you play it out?
You just got to think where people are.
Yeah.
So if you make a move and it goes wrong, then you could be out.
And just let's talk about those opening two rounds. At the first round then at Wilton Mill, I think 90 entries, 91 in your class, 70 or so last time out at Wardenlaw. So even making it to the top 34 is a bit of an achievement for that super final. But as that weekend was playing out, did you expect to be at the back of the grid, or had you expected to be a little bit higher up?
I expect to be a little bit higher up instead of starting at the back. And then we could have got even further up.
And I'm pleased to say that joining us now is none other than John Stewart, team manager for ST Racing. John, what a great result for young Jay Smith last time out. 34th on the grid. He made up 19 places in that super final.
It was a brilliant drive, to be fair, from Jay in the final. Yeah. To be honest, we were actually disappointed to be starting 34th. Yeah. He's better than actually where he was on the grid, especially around his local track as well. Yeah, he just had to keep his head in the final, you know what I mean, pick his way through, and that's what he done. And
the thing is, with making the super final at the moment, last time out and at round one, that's an achievement in itself. I think it was 91 entries in his class for round one, 70 some for round two. So making the top 34, you're already winning, getting that far.
100%. I mean, it's a really strong field as well, and like you say, 91, 70 odd for the second round. Yeah, it's really hard, and like I say, it's achievement itself just to get into the finals.
Yeah, and like many of the youngsters that we chat to as we go around the karting paddocks these days, he's somebody who started racing indoors, and he's got an eye for it, and now he's jumped on board and got involved with yourselves.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that more and more?
Karting took a bit of a dive, and you know what I mean, 10 or so year ago, and it's definitely on the up again now, 100%. You see from the numbers at these meetings, you know. So yeah, 100%. It's only good for the sport.
Well, best of luck to Jay. Let's see how he gets on as we go and join the race action in the Junior Rotax Super Final.
2, 4, 6, 8. Boggin, don't wait. Charlie Hart and Reese Lomax on the front row for this one. Adi Kulkarni and Ted Bradbury from Steve Duncan, Angus Scrivener, Ollie Stevens and Gabe Fairbrother from Pearson Bullock Carter and Blake Ticehurst. That is an ultra-competitive top 10. Row 6 is Alfie Briggs and Leo Purchase from the Charmander and Siwa Ruthen. Then Harry Maynard and Archie Clark, Jex, Orridge, Adams Acton and O'Shea. Then we've got Baker and Bailey from Finn Watson and Levi Earl, Gracie Mitchell and Ethan Bentley, Ruben Kernowan and Zaki Hussein from Alex Duncan and Alexander Cull. And then bringing up the rear of the grid, we have Max Taylor and Oliver Kerr from Sophie Kinghorn, who only just scraped in this time, and Ethan Head in P34.
Sophie Kinghorn in the super final for the first time this season, seeded 5. This is her first super final. What can she do from P33?
Well, that shows you how competitive it is in Junior Rotax in 2022, as Razor Siwa is about to get a little bit of a nibble from the Charmander up into Spoon Curve, and he's already made up a couple of places. There he is, tucking in behind Alfie Briggs. There's a slow kart in the background. We'll try and pick that up a little later, but there is so much going on the run out up towards the compression complex. And it's a great charge forward. Lomax, I think it was, who managed to get the initial jump. Indeed it is. So once again, the man in second position on the starting grid is the one that gets the better run to turn one. Such a tight first corner. Ted Bradbury, who of course has only just recently taken the lead of the championship, finds himself now charging in behind Adi Kulkarni. So it's Lomax, Hart, Kulkarni, Bradbury, Duncan, Fairbrother. And this is a great performance so far this weekend as Kulkarni gets up into second place. Now, I really rate Adi Kulkarni. I was there last year at the TKM Festival when he cleaned up in both the festival and the O-Plate in the same day in the junior category. Absolutely astonishing. And now he is here in Junior Rotax at the Ultimate Karting Championship, proving his versatility. And he is continuing on the bandwagon in front of Ted Bradbury, who has also managed to get through now into third position ahead of Charlie Hart.
Kart stream out of Devil's Elbow down to the final turn. Stephen Duncan up the inside for fourth. Great move by Stephen Duncan. He's in the fourth. We're back on board with the onboard cameraman, and that's looking back on Taylor Orridge. Ted Bradbury sets the fastest lap.
Charlie Hart trying to get on the inside of Fairbrother, and he's made contact. Fairbrother spat out on the fastest corner on the circuit. Charlie Hart was trying to go for the magic move, and he just ran out of road to try and get through. Let's have another look at it. He makes the move, tries to squirt in on the inside, and look, he just nudges the right rear quarter of the car. What a mistake and a maker. As always in Junior Rotax, a massive battle from about a dozen drivers, 5th all the way down to 17th. This is still a very open contest here at Glenagors Park in the heart of Wales. This is a really tough circuit for a battle like this. You've got so many incredible contenders battling away for position, and there's nearly another incident as Pearson Bullock Carter was trying to get his way on the inside of Ollie Stevens, and he backed out of it at the last possible moment.
We saw a graphic come up very temporarily for Gabe Fairbrother. He set the fastest lap at the moment, but he's well down the back of the field. And it doesn't look like, as we see places all over the place.
Oh my goodness, that was Orridge tagging there with Blake Ticehurst, and he went airborne, and yet he is still able to keep motoring on. Goodness me, Taylor Orridge, baptism of fire.
I was just going to say about the earlier incident with Fairbrother and Hart. If that had been seen by the officials, they may have taken action, but it doesn't look like they've seen it, they've noticed it. It's a difficult spot that to have an official standing anywhere in that area, because it can be quite dangerous if a car goes off. If they've seen something, they will deal with it, but it looks like on this occasion they may have missed it, and it's worth pointing out as well, they do not see these pictures. They can't get to watch it back, and let's have another look at the cameras and see what they've got.
Yeah.
They don't get to see the pictures. They have to base it on what they see or is reported to them. We've got a warning flag going out for somebody, but that means something's been reported, so somebody's getting a warning flag. In that case, doesn't look like the officials spotted it, so nothing has happened.
Well, there was a beautiful move from Alfie Briggs on Taylor Orridge into the spoon, and now Ewan Charman is going to get an overtake as he charges his way through. So the Charmander now drops down Damon Hill as they come up through the hairpin once again, and Adi Kulkarni is right in behind the leading two drivers. Gabe Fairbrother has set the fastest lap of the race, having been pitched off the road accidentally by Charlie Hart, and that just shows you, driving with the red mist, it gives you an extra half a second a lap.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that as well. Charlie is not the type of driver to go and do that deliberately. It's not deliberate. It's an error of judgment. However, I will say if the officials had seen it, he would probably be getting some form of penalty.
Oh, that's for the lead. That's for the lead. A beautiful move up the inside there from Ted Bradbury. He gets into the lead past Reece Lomax. That was an opportunistic overtake, if ever you're going to see one. And now Adi Kulkarni is trying to pick him off as we return back on board with Ewan Charman. But yeah, absolutely agree. That incident between Hart and Fairbrother, nothing malicious in that one at all. Charlie Hart going for an overtake. You're a racing driver. Yeah. There's a gap. You've got to go for it. And just sometimes it doesn't work.
Absolutely. Officials see it, they take action. If they don't see it or it's not reported to them...
Oh, Kulkarni! That one didn't work!
And he's gone up the inside for second and ended up down in fourth. Make that fifth.
Oh, Adi Kulkarni, he tried to make the move on Lomax. Let's have another look at it. And he just goes airborne as a result. Ted Bradbury is given a clear run to the lead. Stephen Duncan is given second place on a silver plate. That is an absolutely momentous moment for Duncan, who was desperately trying to get into the top five at one stage. Now he's got second, half a second back from Bradbury, and he's got over a second on Reece Lomax. So it's almost job done for Steve Duncan to get a podium, but in which position?
Yeah, Ted Bradbury leaves it then, and he will lead the championship, no doubt, the way things stand now. He'll lead it moving forward to the next round. Ultra competitive, this junior Rotax class this year. 91 drivers started at the first round, 77 I think it was at round two. Not quite so many here. That happens as the championships go on. People drop out as they're not in the position they think they would like to be in, or think they deserve, or something might have happened. But still a lot of drivers here this weekend, and again ultra competitive.
Yet again Junior Rotax proving that just to make it into the final at the end of the weekend is a victory in and of itself. You've got so many top class, elite drivers at junior Rotax level in Great Britain in the Ultimate Karting Championship. Just getting in the final is a mission as Taylor Orridge goes wheel to wheel there in fine style with Ollie Stevens. And now Charman is not going to wait around. He's going to get his move on Charlie Hart. He dives in on the inside. A lovely overtake there from the Argenti driver. And now that puts him into 8th position, charging after his teammate, Adi Kulkarni. This is going to be interesting to see if he can make up more progress as Stevens battles with Orridge. Oh, Orridge squeaks through with a very small gap, and as a result they both lose track. Sam Baker gets past them both. Alfie Briggs thought he could get a move on the inside of Ollie Stevens, but he decides discretion is the better part of valour on that one.
Alex Duncan started P29, Jake. Where's he at the moment? He's on the move, 18, so he's up 11. Another man on the move is Ruben Kernahan as well. And I will say Ethan Head, he started P34, and Ethan Head's currently 25th, so he's made up 9 places and still on the move.
Yeah, great performance actually from Ruben Kernahan. You've got to remember that he's one of the most travelled drivers in the field, coming as he does over from Ireland. So he's obviously got a mission just to get to these races in the first place, and then he's got to try and take on the top drivers in Great Britain. He's been very strong back in his home country, and now he is having an amazing job here in UKC, getting into the final and in the top 20 with very limited experience at this level compared to some of the other drivers out there.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. If you live in Northern Ireland or in Ireland itself and have to come over to the UK, because this is where most of the competitive racing is at this level, then it's a commitment you have to make, and it really, we see a lot of drivers doing it, but wow, I tell you what, to get on a ferry and do this all the time, constantly, is it's a big ask.
Check out the body language of Ted Bradbury as he was checking over his shoulder to see where Stephen Duncan was. Now he is going into middle of the road management because he doesn't want to leave the door open on either the inside or the outside of a corner. So he's going to park his car in the middle of the road. But that little fisticuffs that we saw earlier between Lomax and Kulkarni has now dropped them 2 seconds off the back of Stephen Duncan, who is absolutely launching an attack on Bradbury. Lomax is now 3rd from Scrivener. Kulkarni, who fights his way back to 5th ahead of Leo Purchase. Then Bullock, Carter, Charman, Hart and Baker.
Yeah, Stephen Duncan is a Hunter Motorsport man, and they only know about winning. They don't want to come second, and Stephen's no different. He will want to try and make his way past.
Look at Bradbury's body language.
You're talking about Bradbury, who is a top quality performer. He is going to make, as you like to say, Jake, his cart as wide as a...
It's as wide as a Buick. Well, Buick, on this occasion, I think it's as wide as a Cadillac, to be fair, because he's absolutely monstering the inside apex. He can't go left, he can't go right. Stephen Duncan, look at that, got massive airtime out of the final turn as we go into the last lap. Goodness me.
I think that's cost him any chance of a win.
I think so.
Now, Bradbury, you can see, just a look over his shoulder. He knows now he doesn't need to defend. He goes slightly narrow into the spoon. He goes down Damon Hill. He probably doesn't need to defend this.
He's defending more than he needs to.
This is a battle for 3rd and 4th.
Here we got Lomax, Scrivener and Kulkarni, but Duncan has another chance here because Bradbury is being a little bit too defensive. He had a little bit more breathing space, but Rocket Man, Stephen Duncan, who got airborne out of the final turn, might just be able to set up something here. He's going to try his best. Can he launch in the final bend? They come off the final turn. He's run out of time, and Ted Bradbury, 2 hands in the air. That is a massive win in this field. Extraordinary driving, and what a finish to the weekend here in GYG. Ted Bradbury just hangs on from Rocket Man, Stephen Duncan, Reese Lomax in 3rd from Angus Scrivener and Adi Kulkarni, Piston Bullock Carter and Leo Purchase from Charman, Hart and Baker. Full credit and kudos to Alex Duncan. He made up 15 places to charge his way through in the most competitive junior Rotax grid in the country.
So the junior Rotax drivers really putting on a show for us here at round 3 at GYG. The man that started on the front row of the grid in 2nd place actually came home in 3rd. That was Reese Lomax. He might be a little bit disappointed with that result, but the longer the race went on, it was really only about 2 drivers who were fighting out. And in the end, a heavy hit on a curb with 1 lap to go was enough to see Stephen Duncan just get a little bit behind the man that ultimately took the win. So unfortunately, he wasn't going to do the business, but well done there to Ted Bradbury of Sam Pollitt Racing. He got himself out in front, kept his head and took the win. Let's go and see what he had to say when we caught up with him at the podium.
It's my favourite track probably on the calendar. I like how fast and flowy it is. The weekend was great, nice and consistent. Made a mistake in one of the heats, but I'm glad we came away with a win in both finals, the super heat and the main final.
And who's the performance all down to this weekend?
All Sam Pollitt racing, all of them, just making sure my kart's at the top spec all the time, making sure I'm the best driver I can be, and Lewis Brown for making me a better driver as well, and K-Card and FGN.
Last year we did decent in the championship, the race here, and then this year we've come back and did it again. So.
And you're a big part of Hunter Motorsport, as we know, for quite a while now. So who do you want to thank for your success?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Matt Easton, Reece Hunter, well, everyone at Hunter Motorsport, Potenza Racing Engines, and Dad on the spanners.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Obviously got a good start, and then me and Ted just sort of broke away. Then had a coming together, and then luckily to keep third, but do what I did.
And who do you want to thank?
I want to thank my sponsors, Sheesh Chigwell, Jigsaw Mortgages, Ammo Super Fresh, Warden Fruits, Dino's Calf, and mostly probably my mum and dad. Coles Racing, Sam Sainsbury, Jed Murphy and Grandpa Mills.
Okay, well done.
Cheers.
And that massive victory from Ted Bradbury now puts him into the lead of the championship by 13 points ahead of Gabe Fairbrother. Charlie Hart is still in the mix. Reece Lomax, Ethan Simmons and Pearson Bullock Carter very close together. And after finishing P2, Stephen Duncan is now P7 in the title fight ahead of Charman, Uzakov and Stevens as we get ready to head to Cumbria.
So there we go, our weekend in North Wales has come to a close, and oh boy, what an absolute belter. Next time out then, you'll join us for round 4 at Rowra in Cumbria, another fantastic backdrop for more great racing. Until then, from all of us here at Glanigors, see ya.